Marcus, welcome to Mea Culpa. I am honored to have you on with me. Let me just say something that I say, especially to my regular guests that come on. The hour goes by super quick, so I'm just going to jump right into it. But I am going to say I'm loving that hat, by the way.
Oh, thank you, brother.
I need me to get, one of those hats.
Come on down. I'll get you one. It'll be on me. Come down to Georgia and hang out with me a little bit.
100%. I'll be down next week. All right. So, Marcus, question for you. Trump is going to meet or met privately with Vladimir Putin at, I don't know, sometimes he says Russia, other times he's saying it's in Alaska.
Yeah.
But they're keeping Ukrainian President Zelensky out of the room.
Yeah.
I'm confused. What signal does that send to NATO allies and every autocrat sizing up the West's resolve when you're willing to engage in a discussion, we'll call it a peace negotiation, but you're not inviting one of the two parties to the table?
I mean, Michael, we've seen this before, brother. I mean, what is it, Helsinki 2016? Trump goes in and sides with Putin against our entire intelligence apparatus when Putin said, "Oh, I didn't have anything to do with the emails or anything or hacking, Clinton and putting all that out." And he's like, "Oh, I don't see why it would be him." So it's another one of those. He's shown us who he is time and time again. He's shown us that he'll bow down and kiss Putin's ring over our allies in NATO and our allies all over the world. I mean, it's him and Putin. He wants to be a dictator. He wants to do what Putin does. So again, we've seen this time and time again. And I've said it before. When it comes to Trump up against Putin, I mean, it's like a 14-year-old dating a hooker. He's just outmatched. He doesn't have a chance. Doesn't stand a chance. I mean, it's
to be fair though, Marcus, Putin, according to Trump, he said it very strongly. It was said very strongly, right? Yeah. I mean, Putin said strongly that he had nothing to do with any of it. He wasn't involved in any of it, and for whatever the reason may be. And look, I know Trump probably better than anybody, maybe other than himself. I don't know why he has decided to run with that narrative. I think it's a losing narrative. We all know who and what Putin is. We know what Putin is desiring, which is to reestablish the old Soviet Union with himself as the czar. I just don't get why Trump is falling for this.
I mean, because he sees something there in that playbook that he likes. He likes that authoritarian strongman type thing, which is what he's trying to implement here. That's his, I mean, you know him better than I do, but I feel like that's his wet dream, to be a strong man here in the States and just hold power indefinitely. That's what I think. I mean, it's never going to happen because we're going to fight back tooth and nail. The people, we're going to stand up and we're not going to allow that to happen. But I mean, what America are we living in now when we have the leader of the free world siding with dictators time and time again?
Crazy. I mean, it's crazy. But meanwhile, Putin has literally made a career out of extracting concessions from weak leaders.
That's it.
What possible guarantee or personal favor could Trump have gotten in exchange for that diplomatic slap in the face to Ukraine, which is such a hot button to so many members, including GOP members of his own party?
What does he got on him? What does he got?
Nothing. Nothing.
Time and time again, I've asked this question. Is there some compromise that they have on Trump? What is it that he's looking to gain by siding with Putin? And we talk about the meeting in Alaska. How are you going to broker peace with only one side sitting at the table? That's not how you do it.
I don't know. I mean, that's why I'm saying, what could Trump have gotten in exchange? Let me be clear about this. I know a lot of people turn around and they say, well, Michael, you know all about the P tape and so on. Let me be clear. I would bet the kitchen sink, as I have all this time, there is no P tape. It doesn't exist. It didn't happen. That was just a lie.
Yeah, we would have seen it by now.
Of course. And I've actually tried to find it. I've had people searching for it when I was still part of Trump's orbit. Everyone turned around and acknowledged it doesn't exist. Not to mention, just imagine, and this is Russia, by the way. So assuming that they brought in hookers and they urinated on the bed, the first question that I asked is, where did Trump sleep that night? He's certainly not going to sleep in a urine-soaked bed. That's one. Number two, the next morning, wouldn't housekeeping come in to have to clean that up? Don't you think they'd be on the phone with the Kremlin to say, hey, we got a urine-soaked bed here in the presidential suite. What do we do with it? They'll be like, wait 1 second, we be over there in a minute.
There's got to be something. There's got to be something, right?
It's not this. So I want to know what it is that he's getting in exchange for this beatdown to Ukrainian President Zelensky.
Whether it's financial dealings, I don't know what was going on with the proposed Trump Tower, Moscow. There's got to be something that this guy's got on him other than, him just wanting to be Putin and that being his wet dream to be a dictator.
I also don't get it. It's definitely not the Trump Tower Moscow, because that was my deal, and that deal fell apart even before the election, long time before. And it didn't have to do with Putin, other than that Putin was going to, have to bless the deal because anything. Yeah, but I don't know. Let me ask you this: is this meeting about weakening Ukraine's negotiating position on the battlefield? Or do you think it's about giving Putin a free hand to rewrite the map of Eastern Europe while America sits back, crosses its arms, and just looks the other way?
He's trying to get as many concessions as he can. You can see the map that Russia draws. We want to take the Donbass and that entire eastern side of Ukraine. Come on. That would be a non-starter. I know it is a non-starter for Zelensky and the Ukrainian people to give up anything as far as changing their territory. Putin's he wants the same thing as we said at the top. He wants to reestablish that old Soviet Union. That includes taking all of Ukraine, not just bits and pieces of it, but if he gets concessions, if Trump bends the knee and says, oh, yeah, take this, take that, we're going to recognize your right to the Donbass and Crimea and whatever else. That's the first step. And incrementally, he's going to start taking more. I've said it time and time again. Ukraine is so important. And we got to stand our ground here. Ukrainians have to stand their ground. We got to support them. You got Republicans pushing back on Trump and this idea of brokering the peace deal that he was supposed to broker on day one. Remember? Let's not forget that. Oh, I can get a deal on day one. Okay, we're in year 2. And where are we?
Marcus, I got to tell you that the first question that I asked you is, what message is this sending to our NATO allies? And I've been very, very crystal clear. I understand.
You can't be counted on.
I understand the former Soviet Union, USSR. In fact, my wife's passport as a baby is from the USSR. She was not Russian. She wasn't Ukrainian. She was Soviet, just like everybody else. Well, because she was Jewish, her nationality was Jewish, not even Soviet. But putting all that aside, we know what this means to that bloc. Because after he would end up taking over Ukraine, what's next?
Poland's next,
of course, and then the Baltics, right? This is the goal: is to reestablish the entire territory, and that's why I was asking you, what message are we sending to our NATO allies? That hell, you're on your own. We're good for you, so long as it has nothing to do with Putin. Is that sort of the message that America wants to give to our Eastern European NATO allies?
You got Romania and you've got so many other places where we have military bases, and they're looking at us like, okay, You know, we're next on the chopping block here, even if they're not members of NATO, countries that would like to be in NATO. Trump's sending the message that it's open season when it comes to Putin. We can't be relied upon. He doesn't want to be in NATO in the first place. He wants to dissolve the alliance. Let's start there. All the talk about them not paying their fair share, it's nonsense. It's a distraction. He wants to give Putin free rein and let him do whatever he wants to do at the end of the day. And our allies see that. They see that. Yeah, so, I think it's time for the Europeans to step up and do whatever they can to help protect Ukraine.
Which by the way, they are doing, and they continue to do on a regular basis. They engaged in meetings prior to Trump-Putin summit, right? They are turning around and they are speaking with Zelensky, acknowledging that he is in a very bad position as it relates to obtaining armaments and rockets and defensive missiles, so that they will step up and that they will support it. All that this is doing, all of this nonsense that's going on right now,
Isolating
it just destabilizes America as the superpower of the world, and we're just opening up the floodgate for China to come right in and steal it from us.
That's it. That's exactly what's happening. I mean, they've been making moves for a while. They were hoping that Trump would be reelected because it's spelling our downfall. I mean, again, and I'm so frustrated with it. Are we living in the America that you and I grew up in?
Nope.
Are we living in that America right now?
Nope.
Some say, fascism and authoritarianism is on its way. I think it's already here. And we've got to go ahead.
No, I was going to say, if we're talking about authoritarian, let's just even turn around and take a look at this Trump DOJ. I wrote a whole book on it, turned out to be #6 New York Times bestseller, my second book, called Revenge, how Donald Trump weaponized the United States Department of Justice against his critics. That was his first administration. He has become much more sophisticated. The people who are around him, like Vought over with the Heritage Foundation, Project 2025, they know what they're doing. And this new second administration, DOJ, they have now opened up not one, but two criminal investigations into one. It was New York Attorney General Tish James. And the second one against Senator Adam Schiff, two of Trump's most vocal critics. So the question I want to ask you, Marcus, is how is this not political revenge under the banner of law enforcement?
Oh, but absolutely is. I mean, we talked about this in the first administration, where the guardrails, for all intents and purposes, held because you had people in DOJ, you had people in the Republican Party, even in the Senate and in the House, who were willing to stand up. But this time around, there's none of that. They did learn. Project 2025 that we warned about for a year or more before the election, when people started finally paying attention in the last couple of months, when I guess it was Taraji P. Henson went on an awards show and talked about it. But I'd been talking about it for years already. This is what they're trying to implement. They're going to take over. If we let this election slide and let Trump get back into office, he's going to put the right people in place. So now we've got a chance here in the midterms to put a halt to that. Democrats have to flip the House. We got to. I mean, there's just no way around it. Otherwise, it's all lost. And I know I've been saying this since 2021. I've been warning about fascism and authoritarian takeover, and people thought it was fear-mongering for the most part. But now we're living it. We are living it, Michael.
Marcus, you'll remember in 2018, when I came out and I said that my biggest fear is if Trump loses in 2020, there will never be a peaceful transfer of power. Those words came out of my mouth at the House Oversight Committee, one of my 7 committee hearings that I had to sit before. But this is different. A lot of people are like, well, this time it's different. Well, it's not different. When I was incarcerated, not once but twice, including the second time when I was incarcerated because I refused to sign a counterfeit document that prohibited me from publishing my first book, Disloyal, which was #1 on the New York Times bestseller for a month, right? They threw me back in jail. Now, that's right out of Putin's playbook, right? He did that to Navalny. They've done that to journalists for many, many years.
You were one of the first, but you weren't the last. And
well, I was hoping that I would be the last. Unfortunately, you're right. I'm not. And what we're seeing right now, and my prediction, I was on MSNBC, my prediction, both Tish James and Adam Schiff will both suffer repercussions and accountability under this DOJ. That's my prediction. Rest assured, I know for a fact I'm right.
But what I hope happens out of that, if that happened, heaven forbid, like I said, they went after you hard. They went after you hard. They're going after other people just as hard. So when you start seeing some of these elected officials carried away in handcuffs, is that going to be a wake-up call to the MAGAs who were all about law and order and draining the swamp and not going after your political enemies? Yeah. What's going to happen when you start seeing senators, attorneys general that don't agree with this president, who are trying to uphold law, but they're going after him simply for his revenge?
Well, you do know that
his revenge on you, and you spoke out, man. Yes, great.
Yes,
guys,
but MAGA wants this. MAGA eats this up, right?
And
yes, there are Republicans that will turn around and say, whoa, really? Against the attorney general, against the senator, and so on. But they're doing it under the guise that they broke the law, that they committed mortgage fraud. All right. If it was you who had committed those crimes, this is going to be their argument. Rest assured. I know what I'm talking about, because sadly, I actually helped write this playbook. They're going to turn around and say, Marcus Flowers, if this hypothetically was you and you committed this mortgage fraud, your ass would already be in jail. All right, plain and simple. So they need to be held accountable too, under the same guise that any other American citizen would. So therefore, we are the law and order party. We're just saying that just because you are a senator or you are an elected attorney general doesn't mean you get to break the law. And that's what our DOJ is promising you, the American people. Equal justice for all.
Spinning like a top. Spinning like a
Exactly.
top. I mean, yeah. It's ridiculous, but I want people to wake up and start realizing what's going on over here. It's a full-blown takeover. I mean, I think we're already there. It's not coming. It's already here. And when you start seeing those elected officials taken out in handcuffs, with Trump, who took classified documents, took them to Mar-a-Lago. Not only did he do that, because that could have been corrected easily, just hand them back over. But then he obstructed justice and hid them. And then he had the Supreme Court, this activist Supreme Court, this MAGA Supreme Court, say, he's a president. He was coloring inside the lines of his presidency. He can do that. You can't convict him. I mean, they dragged their feet a whole lot so that it could run out the clock first, and then made that bogus call. So
yeah. So look, if the Justice Department becomes a personal hit squad for the president,
I feel like it already is.
Okay. So what does it then say about the checks and balances our founding fathers designed? Where is that?
Well, I can't remember who said it, was Madison, but it depends on the people. It's all about the people who head those departments, those department heads, those secretaries, those people in government being people of good moral character, who will, as we all took the oath, I took the oath over 30 years ago, when I swore to support and defend the Constitution. That's on the people. And if you don't have the people there who are willing to support and defend the Constitution and maintain our institutions, then what do we have? What do we have? We're just as corrupt as the worst corrupt countries there are out there. It all depends on the people, which is why Trump has surrounded himself and all of those department heads. When you look at the DOJ, Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, these are all Trump sycophants. They're going to do what he wants. I'm sure they all took a loyalty test, not to the Constitution, not the oath that we all took. I swear to support, uphold, defend the Constitution. No, I swear to do whatever Trump tells me to do. So we've got the wrong people in there now.
Well, the right people for Trump, wrong
instead
people
of
for America.
Servants.
Yeah, I mean the right people for Trump, the wrong people for America.
Well, I mean, again, I served the country for almost 30 years, 3 decades.
Wow.
It was never about me. It was never about a commander or a boss at DOD or the Department of State. It's about the Constitution, serving the American people and what's good for them.
Well,
Good for all
look,
of
so,
us.
sure,
If you,
but
can't,
let
if
me
you don't get that when you swear that oath, then you're lost. You don't want democracy. You don't want it.
Yeah, well, here, I'll tell you what it shows. It shows that there is an unmistakable message coming out of this White House. You cross Trump, and they will unleash the government on you to the fullest extent possible. More so than anybody is even aware that they can do.
No, it's meant to send,
And
it's meant to send a chilling effect.
Of course. But the question I want to ask you is, how dangerous is it when intimidation like this becomes normalized at the highest level?
I mean, I think about some of the places I served. Iraq, Afghanistan, Sudan, places where I served, and I saw corruption running rampant and people in fear that they could be, taken off the streets for the simplest thing, not just talking about politics, but be taken off the streets for the simplest thing, disagreeing, speaking their mind. That's what they want. They want that fear across the board. And you got MAGA who, they're all in on that for the most part. That hard 30% right of MAGA who aren't interested in democracy anymore. They want a king or a dictator or an authoritarian. There's that. And in some of the places that I've been, I see that fear is real with people. They're afraid of government, period. Just afraid, won't speak out on anything. That's what Trump wants here. He wants his enemies crushed. He wants to send that chilling effect across the board so that people don't cross him. I mean, and you got these organizations like, you name it, the newspaper, you name it, the media corporation, who are kissing the ring for lack of a better term.
You mean like Fox News?
Like Fox News, of course, but they helped start this. But you got other organizations who
Newsmax,
were
OAN, Christian Broadcasting Network, just to name a few.
The newspapers, they're folding. Facebook, Twitter. I mean, that's a cesspool
TikTok.
now anyway. Guys folding beforehand, saying, "Okay, we don't want any of that. We don't want any of the retribution that he's going to bring." So the chilling effect is already there. It's not reached all the way down to the people like you and I who are willing to fight back, but you see a lot of people that they're going after, that they're throwing these lawsuits up and suing people for, What
do you mean? I got sued.
What?
Marcus, he sued me.
Miles Taylor, the list goes on.
He sued me for $500 million in the Southern District of Miami right? And so on. Ultimately, that case was just dropped by him, but
they're all frivolous
chances
lawsuits.
are they may end up refiling it again. It doesn't stop me from speaking the truth. Funny though, there are people who don't even want to hear the truth. All they want to hear is, just more stuff about Trump and the danger that these people are doing. And I'm talking, these are Democrats, by the way. The danger that they're doing is they're just giving Trump a reason to claim fake news when you start publishing false information. And then you go ahead and, you try to run with that in order to garner what? An applause? Another subscriber? Maybe a paid subscriber? That's fucked up. And that's where this country is falling apart, because Trump will build on that. Like you would take a piece of sand and say that sand represents the entire beach. No, it doesn't. It's just one piece of sand. And if you start making that piece of sand, that one fact that he's right about, and you make that into the whole thing, right? The one tree versus the forest ideology, that's where we're screwed.
But Michael, you and I and the likes of Miles Taylor and people like that, we're not just normal people. We're going to speak up. We're going to speak out. We're going to continue putting ourselves out there. And we need more of that. We need more of that. But not everybody's like that. You got to understand, when they come after certain people, that's going to chill a lot of other people. They're going to say, I want no parts of that. We see it happen time and time again. But we got to keep stepping out there on that ledge and just going for it. Got to continue to speak truth to power. Don't let these frivolous lawsuits, these threats of lawsuits. I mean, we know Trump is the most litigious president ever, and it's all bullshit lawsuits. I mean, how many bullshit lawsuits has he filed?
I don't know. The guy's been winning one after the other after the other. He took ABC for $17 million, $26 million from CBS. I understand. Harvard, paid him. Now Yale, or not Yale, Columbia paid him. Now UCLA is in the chopping block. I mean, he's for $1 billion. I mean, they are all folding because they're not worried about the First Amendment. They're not worried about the things that protect you and me. That's right. They're worried about their bottom line to their shareholders. Yeah.
Bottom line. And what does that tell the average Joe? What does that tell the average Joe? Yeah. That's why I say, what America are we living in right now? Are we still in a democracy at this point in time? This thing that I've been talking about since I ran against Marjorie Taylor Greene back in 2021, when I resigned my post as a government official on January 7th, 2021, to run against this, because I saw it coming. I saw the dangerous rhetoric out there. I saw what it was leading to. Alarm bells were flashing bright red to me, but it's because of the world that I come from. I come from our intelligence community. I served this country in 2 different war zones, 3 actually, but 6 years in Iraq, 4 years in Afghanistan. And I know what that playbook looks like. And I saw it coming way off. Not enough people did. Yeah, there were several people out there who were, screaming it from the top of their lungs, but they weren't getting the play. And the media was talking about other things that aren't really that important when you look at the big picture. And now I think we're there. And we got to turn this around. So if you're listening to me, big corporations, stop fucking folding.
Yeah.
You're sending the exact wrong message.
And we're seeing it every single day.
Push back.
Yeah.
Do like Michael. Keep pushing back.
So look, talk about pushing back. Trump literally just stripped the District of Columbia of control over its own police force, putting it directly now under federal authority. Question I want to ask you is, somebody that understands law enforcement, military, how does that reshape the power dynamic between Congress, the mayor of D.C., and the White House?
Okay, so let's take it back to what's the guys that Trump felt that he needed to come in and federalize the DC workforce, because one of their Doge guys was attacked by a little girl and a guy, And okay, crime is out of control. So I'm going to federalize the DC police, which I didn't think was legal in the first place, but DC's its own thing. I guess he can. When you look at history, it doesn't repeat itself, but it damn sure rhymes. You go back to 1923 and look at the beer hall push. You start seeing those similarities of what's happening now versus what was happening in 1920 in the early 1930s in Germany. You see how Hitler's party, they revolted, they were kicked out and arrested. Same thing. They were arrested and sent, after they did their putsch, but then they were voted back into power because, oh no, this guy's no longer a threat. People thought Trump was no longer a threat. Him taking power in DC, sending National Guard into DC. We can do that in any city now. He's proven it time and time again. For a little unrest over a couple of blocks in LA, he did the same thing. When they start showing up in your communities, people, all over the country, our president seizing power from states. Now remember, this is a party that are always going on about states' rights and send it back to the states. But when it suits them, they take power and do what they want. This administration, we're living in a scary time right now, guys. Again, I keep bringing this up. What America are we living in right now? We're damn sure not living in the America that I grew up in.
Yep.
It's not. We're damn sure not living in the America you grew up in. We're living in something completely different. Where we're having these conversations every day, and the media wants to focus on other things or gloss over it. These are serious times, and people need to wake up and start paying attention. Your rights are being trampled on. They're being trampled on. They're being taken away slowly, methodically, every day. With every little push, he's eroding those guardrails. He's got the people in power to do it. He's got.
How I see this, Marcus? You know how I see this? I see this federal takeover as very similar to like what they did to me with the unconstitutional remand back to prison. It's a test run. It's a test run for this White House to take control over police forces in other blue cities under the guise of national security. And I don't know why. Well, look, I don't expect the lamestream cable news media to say the things that you and I are willing to say here on my podcast or on others. I am saying emphatically, as you are, that right now, what you are seeing in DC is a test run. And I understand DC, because it's a district, it's different than a state, doesn't matter to Trump. District, state, schmate, fate, blate, these are all rhyming words that mean nothing to the guy. Zero. This White House is looking every day to figure out how to seize control, like they did with bringing in the National Guard and then the Marines to LA in blue cities, all under the guise of, thank goodness for our wonderful Supreme Court of the United States, you cannot be charged, Mr. President, under the immunities clause if it has to do with national security.
I don't disagree with you at all, brother. I think we're saying the same thing.
You ever stand in front of a mirror midsummer, wondering when your face started looking like a used gym towel and your energy vanished? I don't kind of like classified documents at Mar-a-Lago. Yeah, been there. So let me save you from your next dumb cleanse or your crash diet. This is called Prolon, and it's the only 5-day fasting mimicking program that actually delivers. There's no starving, there's no shady powders, no praying to the kale gods, just real plant-based meals, soups, snacks, teas, all designed to keep you in a fasting state while you're still eating. What it does, it tricks your body into burning fat, repairing cells, and basically turning back the clock without needing a time machine or Botox. And now there's Prolon Next Gen, 100% organic, better taste, and ready to eat. Developed by top scientists at USC's Longevity Institute and backed by legit research. I mean, it literally triggers autophagy, a Nobel Prize winning cellular cleanup process. So yeah, your cells go through a spa day while you sip soup. So look, when I need a reset, and I mean really need one, Prolon's the only thing that works. It's convenient, it's backed by science, and you know what? It doesn't make you hate life. So right now, Mea Culpa listeners, you're going to get 15% off site-wide plus a $40 bonus gift when you subscribe to Prolon's 5-day nutrition program. So go right now to prolonlife.com/mea culpa. That's Prolon, PROLONLIFE.com/mea culpa to get your discount and your gift. Look good, feel better, and tell your metabolism to wake the hell up.
So it's little bitty incremental chipping away at the norms. She's been doing it for years now. I mean, again, a lot of people have tuned this out. Like you said, LA, well, let's send the National Guard in there. Let's send some Marines to quash this insurrection that's going on in LA, which, was a couple of people who were protesting these wild ass immigration raids that are going on out there. People using their rights to go out and protest something that they disagree on. Peacefully protest for the most part. Yeah. The media focused on, I think, one cop car being stomped on and whatever. That was, for the most part, they were peaceful protests. And we got Marines who are probably some who are still there spending taxpayer money for nothing, who are probably still deployed in LA, just sitting around wasting taxpayer dollars. But I digress. And now federalizing the DC police force, which, I have some friends who are in the DC police force who, are like, oh, so I guess we're federal agents now. They don't know.
It's crazy. What's scarier than all of that? When Trump comes out and he makes these sort of over-the-top statements that all these folks in DC, whether it's the homeless or the people in the blighted communities, he doesn't like the way the neighborhood looks, therefore they need to be removed. This is really something. Then he came up with this line, and I've heard it before, which is so insane. I have to say it to my listeners. If they spit, you may hit. So he's basically telling these police officers, right? No holds barred now. You're in a bad mood. Somebody refuses to turn around and to move. They're standing on a street corner, which is freaking constitutionally protected, right? And you're saying something, they have the right to beat the shit out of you with or without a baton, simply because they're going to make the claim, oh, well, you spit at me. Let's be real about it. The crime has to fit the punishment. If you are standing up because you don't like an immigration bill or an executive order in this case, and you're yelling at this police officer, and while you're yelling, let's say, a piece of saliva comes flying out of your mouth, ends up on their shield. This now gives that officer the right, male, female, old, young, doesn't matter, the right to beat the living shit out of you. And that's what Trump wants to see. Again, it's all about the promotion of fear.
He wants people intimidated.
Fear from standing up to rights, fear from standing up to executive orders, fear from doing anything other than agreeing with the almighty leader.
He wants people people from certain groups to be intimidated, whether it's Black people, young people who disagree with his immigration policies or his policies when it comes to the war in Israel. He wants you afraid. He wants you intimidated. People in DC, again, a majority Black city, who he's probably stopped just short of calling a shithole country. Let's be honest. He wants us intimidated. He wants us silent. He wants us to be sheep and just go along with it and watch our democracy slip away from us. That's what he wants. I mean, I think it's probably also his wet dream to be able to run for a third term. Which I think he's probably going to try it. Or probably going to try and figure out some way that he can run for a third term.
Probably.
Probably.
You don't want to take the bet against that one, do you?
I'm not taking. I'm not a betting man, but yeah, I'm not taking that bet.
Yeah,
either
smart
way.
Man. Smart man. But I mean, you're talking about, for example, putting loyalists in these various different positions, as many people had seen over the course of the past 2 weeks or so. There was a whole issue here as it related to the labor statistics, the numbers. When in June and July, the numbers had come out and they were relatively favorable to the job market, Trump, Bessent, Lutnick, the whole crew of them came out and they were like, go team, right? It was almost like the Avengers, right? Yay, team. All right, take the day off. We did great. Then all of a sudden, Then those numbers get readjusted. It turns out in the month of June, it wasn't 170,000 jobs that was created. It was 14,000. In July, the allegation was that it went from 175,000 jobs created to a mere 17,000. Well,
a total of 73,000, right?
No, I think it was much less than that. I think it was something like 33 or 43, something like that. My point being, though, just as soon as he gets the chance, he fires the person from the Labor Statistic Board. And he appoints a loyalist, Antony, this young guy, loyal economist, who has a history of pushing these rosy numbers that legitimately just don't square with reality. And he is now going to be the head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics. I think it's very fair for you and I, Marcus, to say that this is not about tracking the truth or manufacture. I mean, this is about manufacturing a narrative that fits. Because here's the funny thing. If hypothetically this guy, Antony, was the head of the labor statistics and the information came to the president that said, Mr. President, with all due respect, I got to be honest with you, the guy who preceded me, I started going through the numbers. They're fucked up. They're bullshit. They're really wrong. Tell me how wrong they are. Oh, my God, they're wrong. You can't even begin to imagine, right? What was supposed to be 145,000 jobs created was really 14. What? Yeah, 145 to 14. And the next month, 175. You guys were touting 175. It's really 17. Bury it. He'll tell them to bury it. The American people don't need to know. It doesn't make a difference. What's the difference of 180,000 jobs, right, over a 2-month period and so on, over the course of our entire labor force of, say, 200 plus million people? It's like a pimple on a cow's ass. Doesn't mean anything. Don't talk
percentage
about
point.
it. What do you think? Right. It's a rounding error. What do you think this kid is going to do?
I mean, we already know the answer to that. I mean, this is just a part of the continuation of keeping people in the dark, feeding them shit, which they're going to try and treat us all like mushrooms. I mean, he's going to do whatever. If he's a sycophant, he's going to do whatever he can to please the boss at the end of the day. That's what he's going to do. He's going to say, well, what do you want your numbers to look like? It's going to be rosy optimism, even though over the Fed, we're going to see we're sliding into an economy or a recession right now. But they're going to show, put on the rose-colored glasses, guys. It's all good as far as the Trump administration is concerned. So, yeah, we're never going to get the truth out of this guy. Yeah. Forget about it.
They're going to turn around and going to say, Marcus, you're wrong. The country's doing great. You know how I can tell you, Marcus, that the country's doing great? You want me to tell you how? Elon just bought another yacht for another $500 million. There's a guy in Palm Beach, Ken Griffin. God bless him. He's not. I happen to like the guy. I admire him. He's an incredible financier, building a $1 billion home. if the country wasn't doing great, how is it possible that these people
billionaires
are building? Someone just bought another Falcon 10X and another 6 Boeing jets and planes and so on, and trains and automobiles and all that stuff, right? So how is it possible that our country isn't doing great? Just look at how great we're doing, right? That's the sort of stuff that you're going to start to. Meanwhile, the average person, they're
struggling.
rationing. Well, right, they're figuring, do I buy bread or my insulin?
Yeah. How do I pay this rent or pay this mortgage, and try and send my kid to college? How do I put gas in my car to get to a job that's, I gotta have to survive, to keep a roof over our head, but damn it, this gas is expensive. Food's expensive. I mean, whatever happened to Joe Biden? Look at the price of the eggs. All that went away. But you know what hasn't gone away? The price of eggs haven't come down. That's still there. And the price of everything is going up.
Well, actually, the price of everything,
but hey,
you're right,
billionaires are doing well. They just got a huge tax cut. That's permanent now.
Right.
And this tax on tips that people got, well, that'll be gone in a little while. And you only get so much of that tax back. So, guys, hooray for the billionaire. Those service workers who are getting the tax on tip now, and enjoy that little bit that you're going to get, because it'll be gone soon. The billionaires, they got a new jet, they got a new yacht, building a new building. They're doing great. They're doing great. So, yay.
Yay is right. But meanwhile, the only thing I'll push back on you, the price of eggs actually have come down, but that had nothing to do with Trump. It has nothing to do with Biden. It had to do with the bird flu.
Supply chain.
Right? There was a bird flu that basically they had to put down 17 million egg-producing chickens. All right? So, now they're...
When I go to the grocery store, that bill feels a little bit higher than...
Sure, because the price of everything is higher now, from your clothing to, your tools. Everything is higher. And of course, we have the tariffs to thank for it. But I do really want to ask you is how dangerous is it when literally the person who is deciding how we count jobs and wages is somebody who has already demonstrated that they are prepared to cherry pick or just even outright bend the data to fit Trump's political wishes and wants. It means you can't rely on anything anymore.
You can't. If everything's false, you can't believe anything. Tune out. It's just more of that. And that's what people are going to do. They're going to say, all right, these job numbers, it's all bullshit anyway. Why even pay attention? Who cares what they're talking about? Unemployment. It's not going down. It's not going up. It doesn't matter to them anymore. That's what they want. A public who's just tuned out because, it's all bullshit anyway. It's all lies anyway. So why even bother? That's what they want. But that's the exact time where people should be tuning in, pushing back, and getting your asses out there and voting.
Yeah.
People who said they couldn't vote for a Democrat or couldn't vote because it didn't matter. Both sides are the same.
Or wouldn't vote for a black woman, right? So I mean, let's get real. Yeah. 77 million Americans chose not to vote. The same number of Americans that ended up voting that gave Trump back another administration. And shame on us, right? I mean, you got to just say that. And again, look, if you believe in Trump's agenda, if you believe in the Project 2025 agenda, I will never tell somebody who to vote for, why to vote for somebody. I'll give you my belief. I don't believe, that, the tripartite system of government should be destroyed. I don't believe that the executive branch is supposed to be the all-powerful Wizard of Oz. I just don't believe in it. I don't believe that. Yeah, I mean, I just don't believe in those things. And somebody who does, well, let's just say that we sit on different sides of the, of the spectrum here. But I'm not going to tell you, if that's what you believe, that you want to be ruled, that you want to be led around like a goat, well, or a sheep. By all means, knock yourself out. But what bothers me is, don't be apathetic. Don't be the sheep hiding in a closet. Get out there, vote one way or the other. So at least that way, you can't come to the table late and say, yeah, I don't like what Trump is doing, but you know what? I didn't vote for him, but I couldn't vote for Kamala either. That's just unacceptable.
But Michael, you touched on something very important right there. There is a not insignificant portion of people living in this country, Americans, let's go ahead and say it, Americans, who are no longer interested in democracy. They're no longer interested in it. They don't want it anymore. It doesn't work for them anymore, quote unquote, work for them anymore. And people having equal rights doesn't work for them. They don't want that. And that's a very not insignificant number, which means what should be happening is the silent majority of us who do believe in democracy, who do want this country to live up to its highest ideals and be better and treat people more fairly and take care of working class people. You can't make excuses for why you're not getting out there and voting, because you see what's happening right now.
Mm-hmm.
We've lost it. I honestly don't feel that we're living in a democracy right now.
Well, we're really not.
At the very beginning of something that's very bad, authoritarianism, which could lead to this guy having power indefinitely.
Well, you know what they call that?
They're already trying to make it to where a party has power indefinitely, rigging the game and eroding the guardrails.
They call that, Marcus, a constitutional. They call it a constitutional dictatorship.
Constitutional dictatorship,
which is like what Russia is right now. Hey, let me ask you a question, because the hour's coming. Again, I told you it goes right really quick. So we're talking about our tariffs. We were just talking about how everything is more expensive, from your hat to your, to your earbuds and everything. Well, once again, Trump just delayed that next round of tariffs on China, which is basically our, number one trading partner in the entire world. There's only like really 8 or 9 countries that make up the bulk. And of that bulk, 80% of that comes from China alone. But they just delayed it for yet another 90 days, right? And I don't know whether or not it was some economic calculation, whether or not it was a political stunt for, we'll call it, this upcoming midterm elections, or maybe a favor to some business allies. I don't know. But I will tell you that once again, right after the announcement of that 90-day delay, here come the meme wave of Taco Trump all over again. Taco being an acronym for Trump always chickens out, where this entire online culture turns to a real trade and foreign policy issue. It turns it into a punchline.
Yeah.
How did Democrats take advantage of this?
Well, listen, I've said this time and time again. Government is serious business for serious people, which means you can't take these things so lightly. And these memes and things, yeah, it's cute, it's great, but it serves as you said, you're making light of it, but this is serious stuff. We're just making he always chickens out. It's all smoke and mirrors with these guys. It's all smoke and mirrors with them. They're deflecting from something. They're finding some way to hurt you, but bringing your focus to something that's, not really what they're doing at the end of the day. So, yeah, I get it. The memes, things, Taco Trump, it's all fun and good, but this is serious stuff, man. It's our livelihoods we're talking about, our democracy we're talking about, and we got to start taking this stuff seriously. I mean, we can't play with it. I mean, that's just how I feel, me personally. I don't make light of any of it because I think it's If we don't start pushing back in real ways and doing things to protect this democracy, we're in trouble. We're in trouble. So I make light and make fun of none of it, because I'm always looking for, okay, what are they distracting against? Because it's always about pulling the wool over people's eyes or distracting from something that they don't want you to see.
Right.
I say, stay focused. Keep focused on what it is that we should be doing. We should be having focused actions with focused objectives. FAFO.
Yeah.
About that. That's the name of our.
So, exactly. So
Malcolm Nance and I started. So
exactly.
She's a friend of yours, I know. He's a good friend of mine as well.
So let me ask you this, because the hour, like I said, goes by. Last question. If you had 60 seconds, I'm going to make an ad out of it. If you had 60 seconds to tell every American, as a soldier, as a individual who's running for Congress, as a concerned citizen, you have 60 seconds to tell every American what's at stake right now, today, in the clearest, bluntest of terms possible. What would you say to them?
People, when you talk about life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, having your kids have a better future than the one that you had, you're not going to have that in Trump's America. If you don't stand up for democracy, your freedom, your rights to choose the way you want to live, where you want to live, how you want to live, all that's being taken away by this administration. It's being slowly eroded right under your very eyes. At the end of the day, the message is, wake up, America. Because if you don't, you're no longer going to have a country to wake up in.
Well, Marcus,
that would be the gist of the message, brother.
Well, it's a great message. It's a true message. I mean, we're watching the erosion of norms, whether it's Roe versus Wade, whether it's the Obergefell case, which is now up on the block, the Blossoming, I mean, these are all cases that will affect a large swath of this.
You're a lawyer. You know what not posse comitatus, but stare decisis.
Stare decisis, sure. Yeah. Well, Marcus,
there are no norms anymore.
No. And I thank you for joining me on Mea Culpa. I am definitely coming out to Georgia over there. And yeah.
Come hang out with us sometime.
I will. I'm going to come out, hang out with Malcolm too. With the three of us will get together. And I'd like to try to figure out how to maybe engage with people in the red districts in the area. This is the only way to keep preaching to the same individuals again and again and again and again. We already got them. I got my 1 million subscribers. I got my 1 million followers on my social media platform. But I'll bet 90-1 that 9 out of 10 of my followers are the same as your followers, but we're only preaching to the same. And that's the mistake. We need to expand. We need to get out there. We need to explain to the MAGA. We need to explain to the independent. We need to explain to the Republican that what's happening right now is not benefiting you. And Absolutely. Just stay on tariffs. That's all I need to stay on. Just talk about tariffs. Talk
about bottom line kitchen table issues with people. I live in rural Northwest Georgia, and when I ran against Marjorie Taylor Greene, I knocked 70,000 doors in this district. We moved this district 10 points. But that wasn't just by talking to Democrats, because we didn't have that many Democrats in this district. I talked to independents and Republicans alike, so that's what you got to do. I talk about it all the time, with all due respect, Substack and everywhere else you see me. We've got to reach out to these people, but we got to do it in a respectful way and respect that people have different views and try and meet them where they are and then bring them towards us. It's not as hard as you may think, but we got to start doing more of it. And I appreciate the fact that you said that, Michael, because that's
Thank you, my friend. The truth. Thank you, my brother. Good to see you, and I'll be seeing you in person soon.
God bless you. See you next time I'm in New York, and you come down to Georgia. Come hang out with us.
That's a deal.